Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Real Talk. My name's GGJ, and today we are joined by a very special guest, TatlTael from Torpedo. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks
Good.
for having me on.
Yeah. So, obviously, we got a ton of questions to get through, and we want to basically emphasize Torpedo. And to do that, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you do at Torpedo, what your job is, and your stance on things.
So I'm the team manager for the Torpedo Paladins team. I do all the back end stuff for the team, specifically keep them in contact with everyone else, the management for the rest of Torpedo, keep everyone happy in general.
You're that sort of good feel guy, yeah?
Yeah, I'm the one who keeps everything running smoothly, hopefully.
Yeah, good. Okay then, right. So, I spoke to you briefly before we went live, and I said I was going to throw this in. I'm going to. It is Real Talk. Torpedo success. You have a 93% win ratio in tournaments. In tournaments, it's 100%. In scrims, it's 93%.
Yeah, that's where we stand right now.
Yeah. Tournaments, you've never, ever dropped a single game. In a best of 3, you've not dropped one game. Nothing, ever. What do you class your success to? What is it? Compositions? Bear in mind there is no comps at the minute because of the new patch and there's no competitive mode, but we'll get to that shortly. But in previous patches, was it comp success or was it team synergy, or what sort of thing brought you guys to where you're at now to have a 100% win ratio in tournament play?
I mean, I think it's a number of things. So of course we have the team itself and the players themselves. They're not. I wouldn't say all of them are incredibly insane, like solo players. Like they're not gonna always win the 1v1s. We've always known that sort of a thing. But as far as the team itself goes, as a whole, as a unit, the team works extremely well, communication-wise. It's a great sort of mesh of players between who is very the players on our team who are very vocal, Theo and Lazy, who lead the team, to players who are more resigned with their comments, but they think their comments out.
Yeah, they say what they want to say, and that's done. Yeah, sort of thing.
What they need to say, they're very thought out comments in that, with custom as well, and it's a great mix for communication. It really helps us in game to have a general the voice comm leader, and everyone just follows that nicely. But it's not just everyone's just following it like lemmings, you know.
Yeah.
And then composition stuff. When it comes to strategy and that, I like to think we're always a bit ahead of the curve. Of course, last patch it was a bit hard to be ahead of the curve towards the end because we'd effectively reached the pinnacle of the meta of that patch.
Yeah.
But for most of that patch, we were one of the first teams to start running the composition that was ultimately reached at the end of that for most of the time.
Well, the Cassie, Barrack, Buck, Pip into Grok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, as well as that, I think a lot of it comes down to our coach as well. Zerfel, of course. I know him.
Great player, by the way. Great player.
Yeah. And he works so hard. He spends just a lot of his time just looking at things.
From what I've been told about him, he seems to theory craft builds and cards in specific and stuff like that. I may be wrong. It's just, but I spoke to certain players and people that have played up against him. I've never actually played against him, I don't think, but he's very mentally stable guy that sits there, looks at the picture and says, right, this will work, let's try it, and then he goes from there. And I think that's something that should be given credit in any team that can pick up somebody who's like that. For instance, Fate, we have Menchmar. He's come onto the team recently, and he looks at something. Him and Arcos get on like a house on fire because they both sit there and they're both tactical players. Now you have that in the way of Lazy and Thael, and their gameplay is beyond incredible. I know that because I've been on the brute end of it, and like I've played all the top tier teams and got my arse handed to me. They are some of the, if not the best players in EU. I can't say the world because I know nothing about NA, and which, by the way, ladies and gents, we will be trying to organise some NA stuff. So don't get too upset that we're not doing any NA stuff, but we will. But anyway, we want to move on. Right. Question number 2. Are you ready for this? Chicken patch. Our thoughts, yay or nay? Mine is a yay due to the simple fact is I like the idea of payload. I like the idea of the beacons. It gives strategic value. There are some great strats been coming out of Fate, especially. I don't know what you guys have been doing it. Obviously, there's not been any challenge mode because it was not working or something along them lines, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, it's definitely something in Siege that if used correctly, will be absolutely incredible. What are your thoughts? Here's the main question: What is your thoughts in matchmaking at present? Well, Siege. We'll go with Siege. Grass, beacons, movability.
I mean, overall, we're pretty happy with this patch. We like the direction it's going. We really do. It's just. It's a good direction. It's just been done a bit strangely, this patch.
How so? Explain. What do you mean by that?
Things are the idea is there. It's like they meant well, but just things weren't done correctly.
Are you talking about the RNG, the banning?
Smoothly. Yeah, the RNGs, the whole RNG thing. We don't like to talk about that.
It's a sore subject.
Dark history.
Yeah, a sore subject in competitive play is RNG. But let's face it, Hi-Res said, look, this is what we had to try. We needed to try it out to see if it worked. And you know what? All credit to him. They said, okay, we know you don't like it, but we have to try it to say, well, look, this is what we've tried to see if it works. It doesn't work. Basically, and I got shot down for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And I know I'm going to get comments saying, Jay, why? But you know what? Don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. Majority, if not all, the player base don't want RNG in competitive play.
Yeah.
Period.
No, we don't.
And I understand that, Hi-Res build games that they like to play. It's like any game developer. You build a game that you want to play, that you would enjoy playing, and then you adapt and see what your community wants. Now, Hi-Res have an immense community, and their community has turned around and said, we don't like it. We don't want it. And, of course, we've got the Hotch Patch coming out sometime today when this goes out, which is, I'm guessing at some point tonight. So, 26th, Tuesday the 26th, 7, 8 o'clock EU time. Probably on the same again, 26th for NA. That's obviously when they get up and do it, basically. So, it might be even later, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock for us. But
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Tuesday morning.
For East Coast, of course, that's towards 7, 8, maybe 9.
So, moving on. What do you feel about payload? What's your initial thoughts on that game mode?
So, it's another of those. It's a nice idea. It was done with all the right things in mind. But again, it's just execution.
You don't like it?
It's not that like the loads of fun.
Yeah.
But like it's not like you don't consider survival in a competitive way, but payload is a lot more. You think of it like you can think of it competitively, and it's like which one Siege or payload ultimately will come up. But,
but you've got to understand that Hi-Res have to have different types of game modes. We can't just sit there with Siege. As much as I'm a competitive player, you're a competitive player, we would sit there and play it day in, day out, and probably still not get bored of it because there's so many different ways we can play it. Here say, there say, we must form to go the casual player, the guy who comes in and says, right, oh, this is a great game. I'm not very good at the game, but I'm going to enjoy playing Payload. I don't really want to get stomped in Siege, so I'm going to go sit in Payload, play that for a couple of minutes, a couple of hours or something, and enjoys his time playing the game. And that, that's what, as someone who's involved with the community, I want to see new players come in and okay, this is what we're doing. We're having really good fun.
I mean, it's just like things like the map. I think is the main issue when it comes to Payload right now. Just issues with.
Hang on, let's go back to what you just said there. Things about the map. What do you mean by that?
As in, so
it was built. Bearing in mind,
it was just carried over from Global Agenda, right?
Yeah, it was built for close quarters. They said that in the release.
I mean, and you can feel that, and that actually feels quite nice.
It does, doesn't it? It does feel really good.
We've not felt any sort of close quarter sort of fighting combat in Paladins yet, because whilst Ruins are a lot more close and a lot more close spaced than Enchanted Forest as far as a map goes, it's still quite open. You're still having this wide space to try and snipe people out from. That's why characters such as Cassie and Barrack are so good, because their weapons do so well at range, as well as like Pip and Ruckus, especially. We see in like the NA meta before, Ruckus was doing all right on Ruins, but if Enchanted Forest were to be a map in the pick, then
He'd fall down the roster a bit, wouldn't he? Wouldn't be picked as much. As of now, just to say quickly, Ruckus is actually now an tier S. He's actually a must-have due to the emitter.
Yeah.
I mean, and with his ultimate going through, and Fernando's, you play a Fernando him into maybe an Eevee Cassie Barrack.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's just scary. No. So in overall, Payload is a fun map, but you wouldn't class it as putting it into competitive. You wouldn't use it for scrimming and stuff like that.
It's just that it feels a bit too small, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the scaling that they've done, because of course, Global Agenda it's a very different game. The mobility was a lot higher in that game.
Yes.
The pace was a lot higher. So these small corridors used to work quite well for that. But when it comes to scaling it for characters in Paladins, they've not quite merged or meshed yet, you know? So
see, that's something I wanted to talk about actually. The map itself has several layers. Now, what I mean by that is you can go down tunnels, you can go through buildings, you've got teleporters. To me, you could make that into some sort of sci-fi shooter-up thing. And like I said, that came from that, didn't it? It came from Global Agenda. But I feel Hi-Rez have done the correct job in putting it in for Payload. And hopefully they'll start building new maps for Payload. I think it's incredible game mode. I made a video on it a couple of days ago. I'll leave a description below, in the description section below, for you guys to check that out. I honestly feel it's more aimed towards the casual players who come in, like I said earlier, and just have fun. That's something I like. Yeah, I really like that. But I guess I agree with you. In competitive play, it has no stance, does it?
Yeah, no, it just doesn't. It doesn't have the correct setup to be great in competitive right now, and it doesn't have the nice polish. And I mean, I don't mean particularly polish, because the game isn't really that polished yet. But
no. For instance, just look at the character sizes.
Yeah, I
mean, Ruckus rides a pony, Pip rides a freaking ginormous behemoth freaking thing, and it's like, really?
Yeah,
but
I mean, it doesn't have the right polish competitively right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could change very well in the future. They could make it a lot more of a competitively viable and balanced mode, very easily with some few changes.
Just for the record, I don't want them to do that. I want Siege to be the only competitive mode with several maps. Just putting it out there. Just saying.
Yeah. But I mean, right now, where it's sat, it's more of a casual fun mode, and that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah. Right, we're going to move on off of that. Now, let's just... we won't spend much time on survival, but we're going to talk about survival. Not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. I'll play it to test it, maybe just to have a laugh, but overall...
We had so much fun with this mode.
Really? I wasn't a fan.
Much.
I didn't really enjoy it that much. I felt
too
simple.
I'm assuming you saw the hot patch, right?
No, not yet. I haven't had a chance to look.
There was a change included in there that was deployables now take damage from the fog.
Oh, really? What, like, so you put up a barrack shield or a turret or something like that, it will take damage?
It'll take damage from the fog. And a lot of people sat there was like, why are they doing this? This seems really odd. And I just sat there and sort of chuckled to myself because in reality they were doing it because there were people like our team who'd realized that if you were to run the correct characters, you could actually win games without having to ever shoot a character.
Wait, what? Explain.
We went a whole match without ever having killing anyone. All we did was we'd hide, and then when the fog eventually came, you'd use... I think the composition was Ruckus, Barrack...
You just use all your ultimates.
Buck, and... was it Fernando? I can't remember.
Must have been.
But, oh no, it was Pip. It's Pip. And then you had the Pip flask. Everyone was like stacked up, so you have Pip flask for the heal, Grok totem as well, Barrack shield with imbue on the card, so that when you pass through it, you heal. Buck has his heal.
I was under the impression there wasn't going to be any overheal though. Surely with 3 types of heals. Oh my god! If you add a Fernando ultimate in there as well, what the hell?
You take a hell of a lot of damage.
Yeah,
So, like,
and you just use a Cassie's knock up, back them off into fog. You win.
Yeah, each round we were only like 2 or 3 people were left surviving.
Fate. We found a way to play with 0 cards.
Oh yeah, you could quite easily do that.
You could win your first engagement without taking any cards. You could win your second engagement even if they took cards. You could still win.
You just use the fog to your advantage.
If you use fog to your advantage, you win the game. You force them to engage next to the fog.
Yeah.
And you win because you've got a Cassie who can knock up. And after that, and if you need to take a card, you can just press U. Because, like, obviously it's not going to stack. Just press U, pick a card. Doesn't matter what you pick in survival, it would be viable. And we found it to be unbalanced, to say the least, especially in your case. I mean, if you do that and just use it just didn't feel right. And I knew what they were trying to do with it, and I understand that, the Hunger Games, survival, and all that stuff. I liked the Foghorn. I thought that was a nice addition. But as a whole, I wasn't really, especially on Temple Ruins. It just didn't feel right. I felt more... If it was on the forest map, I think that would have been a bit more fun.
We just saw the mode, and all we did from that was we were like, right, here's a new mode. It's obviously not meant to be very serious at all. And so we started having some fun in it, and I mean, Zerfel just got a chance to do some silly theory crafting, and that's what we came up with pretty quickly.
I know that, like, a lot of teams took some time. A lot of people like everybody likes the patch. It's a great patch. Make no mistake about it. It's a great patch, and we're not bitching or moaning about it. It's just little things that we felt could have been moved around a little bit. And the one thing that we didn't like about it was no new champion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I think it would have been nice to have Grover, especially since we know his kit is going to be very similar to what his kit is. I mean, we now know his kit's got a grab in it, which is...
Oh, it's going to be so sick.
We're really excited about.
See, you know what I want Hi-Rez to do is do a double champion release. Oh my god, the amount of people, the influx of players we'll get will be just insane. Yeah. The one thing I am looking forward to is coming into open beta where everybody can sign up and play. and you will see the competitive. I mean, everybody knows that I am through and through competitive for this Paladins game, and I will preach it to the day I die. I love it. I cannot wait. Esports for life. Hashtag YOLO. But I think for Hi-Rez to come out and do a double champion release will be like, there you go, boys. Have at it. Let's see what you've got. And the amount, oh my god, you can just see Arcos, Menschmeyer, and Zerful and all them tactical brainiacs, as I call them, of the games going, whoo! They're just going to sit there going, oh, we can use this card, we can use it in conjunction with this, and it's like their brains go in overload. For me, I just want to play it and kill people with it, but you know, hey, that's just me. But
I mean, the patch came out, and of course, there's been no actual scrims, right? So there's been no actual testing or anything on our side. But I mean, Zerful still was up. I think he was up a good 8-9 hours once patch released, and patch was released like towards like 8 or 9 o'clock at night over here as well.
Yeah,
he was up a good 8 or 9 hours just literally sinking his teeth into it.
See, that's the sort of dedication that I spoke about on some of my previous videos. These are the people that should be given credit. They are making them matter. They are making the next comps, and I've got nothing but respect for these people. And I think Zerful, Arcos, Menschmeyer, and all them sort of players, you know, that will sit there, iron out builds, iron out compositions for each build, and go, right, we can run this comp, and we can do it in this certain way. We can use the bushes to our advantage, and stuff like that. And I cannot wait. I really can't. But anyway, I've got to remember, I've got a limited 60 seconds. So, right, let's go. We've got to move on. Right, we've done payload, we've done survival. Let's get on to the beast of the mountain. Let's get into the competitive scene. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Beacons here in survival. Survival mode? Into siege mode. What do you reckon? Brings a lot of tactical form to it.
We love the idea of beacons.
Good.
The amount of strategy it brings now. Absolutely love it. I mean, there are a lot of people who are just sat there like really worried that it's just going to make it like a TDM.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's only going to be that if both teams are just not paying attention.
You can't go into a total deathmatch because of it, though. Because I see where they're coming from, because of the time to kill was changed and whatnot. I understand that, but it's not a deathmatch. Deathmatches don't have cards. You don't have points. It's not like that.
Yeah.
And it could be like that, but it isn't like that. And I feel, because remember, this is still an FPS MOBA arena sort of game. And make no mistake, you've got the brass from League of Legends. You've got the RNG. All right, the RNG system's going. We know that now. That is, thank hallelujah.
Well, it's not all disappearing.
Don't break my heart. Don't do this to me, Tat. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right.
I mean,
it's got to go. It's got to go. That's all there is to it. Don't make me cry.
The system's still floating around, even though no one's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess we can deal with that for now.
Right. I just want to throw in a little extra question for you. This is to you. What do you think about the legendaries first? The way in which cards are produced now.
I mean. So the change really to that has been, of course, we're seeing that you get a major damage card first, and then for the rest of the game, you're looking at, rather than your damage increasing, it's just it's utility basically.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of like that, because you know, it changes. All that's doing is it's shifting the pace of the game.
Yeah. But I guess they had to do that with time to kill, didn't they?
Yeah. In the previous patch, it was early game fights.
Mm-hmm.
We were seeing towards the end of last patch, once teams were finally realizing how they should have been playing fights out.
Mm-hmm.
We were seeing level 1 fights for us, which we were usually towards the start of the patch, we were able to finish out level 1 fights and pretty much clean ace or win the point in under a minute or two. Towards the end of the patch, scrims and tournament play, we were reaching probably about 5 minutes of level 1 fights. When I say level 1 fights, I mean the first fight for the first point. They often spanned like level 3 by that point. And early game, it was just, you weren't doing enough damage to really take anyone out. It was really shifted towards which team can hit level 5 first, and then which team can make the most of that level advantage.
Yeah.
Now it is, the shift has changed. It's your strength of damage comes from your level 1, because you're picking that legendary up first.
That legendary comes up, right? So you do get your damage from that, but you do realise all the other cards you get still have a damage percentage.
Yeah, you still gain some damage, but it's not like before where your damage spike was level 5.
Slight problem though with Cassie, it still scales.
Yeah.
Did you know that? With Cassie, it still scales, so that which means Cassie from level 1 all the way through to level 5 can free shot people.
Yeah.
That's the. There has to be balance around Cassie.
I think it does need to be toned back.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially some of the card choices. If you're gonna put legendaries as first items, as first cards, it's fine if they are the major damage card, if they're your major pick. But you can't do things such as like Barrack in Flame level 1.
Yeah.
And I mean the change.
I've got a little statistic here for you. 98%. I've got it right here. Let me just draw that up. 98% win ratio if you get in Flame first card.
Yeah.
In any game mode. 98%. You have to be doing something horrifically bad to lose once you get it. Because you've got your damage over time, which ticks for 64 or 46? I can't remember. Or something like that. I may be wrong, but if you do know, leave a comment below, because we do want to know what that is, obviously. I can't remember off her head. But then if you land your second shot, you take half health. You take half the health. Yeah. And like if you want to win in this current patch, so to say, Cassie, Barrack, run together, stay together, you will be unbeatable. It's a simple fact.
And I mean, there are still actually some really good cards on Barrack for legendaries. The Mega Turret's actually super fun.
500 health, and then once they disappear, they drop 2 health nuggets.
It's crazy. The Mega Turret that you can get that fires the rockets, the heat-seeking rockets.
That is awesome.
It actually shoots at every character on the screen at the same time.
What you need to do, ladies and gents, is turn all your graphics up to maximum, turn particles up, and watch it. It's sick. I love it.
It's crazy. And some of the legendary cards are really fun, and there's a lot of variation there. But this was the issue when. This was the major issue everyone saw, especially when they brought in that small part of that part of RNG with the card picks. So just for what we're talking about, ladies and gents, is if both barracks have Inflame, it's a 13% chance that's going to be banned out or something like that, or both those cards will be banned out or something like that. The ban part is it's a lot better now because you'll both get the same thing banned, basically. I mean, with the actual card pick that was there before, with the 33% chance not to get the cards you wanted, you were left with 2 out of the 3 of the choices. And the issue with that was that is such a big issue if all of your cards are viable in the same way, that's no issue. But that's not going to happen. As we saw, like there was some teams scrimming using being able to snipe each other whilst they were playing
17 times, 17 attempts to snipe 404.
Yeah,
it took us.
I mean, what would happen was if one team managed to get Inflame and the other team didn't, or any such card as that, which was much stronger than the other ones, that was basically game over.
Yeah, Inflame is so detrimental. If you don't have it, and your enemy does, you've got a lot of work to do. And I mean it, because you have to shut them down. Problem is, with no cooldowns now, even shutting them down's an effort.
And I mean, that's the issue there with that whole... That's the major crux of the issue with that RNG like card system that they added in. You effectively... You couldn't... The choice of whether you made bad decisions there wasn't in your hand anymore. It wasn't whether you misplayed with your card picks. It was effectively were you going to get lucky enough to get the better card. And that's why, I mean, that that needs to be changed. In a perfect world, all the cards are balanced, and it's just going to be a choice of which style of play you want. But that's not going to effectively happen all the time.
Yeah. I actually had an idea. I actually ran it past Lazy, and Lazy's like, and I ran it past this High Risk Craigers, and they're both like, "Oh wow, Jay, that's actually a really good idea." Which is speciality cards, right? Hi-Res removed tons and tons and tons of cards, didn't they? Right? In this patch. Make them cards all speciality. Put all those cards back into the game. Put them all in the store. Right? You can buy these cards for a certain amount of gold, depending on what tier they are or whatever, you know. And that's down to Hi-Res, what they do with that part. And then, so when it comes to the character select screen, you get a speciality banning system come up. So you get tons of cards that rattle through, and you can pick them, and you ban 3 bans each side, right? So you ban 3 speciality cards, both teams do, so that's 6 cards taken away. And bearing in mind, these speciality cards that you have are all out of the 5 on each team, right? And you can ban 6 of them, right? So therefore, speciality cards now become the legendary card again, so you get them first. With a cooldown. The rest of your cards won't be on cooldown, right? So, this will give team fighting different sort of shift. However, there is a down part to that. Obviously, you're going to get focus fired if you've got certain things, or like say Hunter Killer comes back in or something like that. It need fine tuning. Like, that was just the basis of the idea that I had, and obviously to implement it into a game takes phenomenally long. It would be a massive patch, and like I said, it might not even happen, but I was going to suggest it, see what the sort of feedback was on it. So guys, if you like that idea, let me know. Tell me what you would implement to the game. You know, we want to know what you want to see in this game. And like I say, it was just an idea that I had as I spend, because I have people watch my stream from Korea and stuff like that. So when I stream, I get people from all the way over to South Korea, America, and stuff like that. And I'll get WhatsApp messages or tweets from at stupid o'clock in the morning. Go, "Oh Jay, I just watched your video. That was really good." And I'm like, "But I'm sleeping. Go away. It's 2:30 in the morning." Just the other day, I was having a discussion with Todd Linning. Sorry, he works over at the GSL. He works in the production sort of side of things, and we were having a WhatsApp message conversation about Paladins, because he's looking really forward, because he's got some holiday. He's going to come over back to the States, and he's going to play Paladins, because I'm going to give him one of these beta keys I got. And I said, "Yeah, you're going to enjoy the game. You're going to love it. You know, check this out." And that was at 5:30 in the morning, and I made a tweet about it, and everybody's just going, "Jay, you're nuts." But yeah, I don't know. That's my downfall. I can't seem to shift my being, my soul, anything away from esports. I love it. I guess you're the same. I guess we're sort of stuck in that routine where if it's esports, we're there, we're watching, we've got that sort of vibe to it. And Paladins, in my opinion, is definitely going to be an esports. Well, it has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be.
I'm all over the place right now as far as esports go. I'm just, it's all kicking up finally for me. From a good year or so trying to get into things, for me it's all now kicking off.
Didn't you actually come from another scene, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more about that.
So I actually started off in the competitive scene for the first-person shooter, 4v1 asymmetrical shooter called Evolve from TRS and 2K.
Yep.
I started out there as a player at first for a month or so, and moved to a coach/manager.
Yeah.
And was actually little known story, actually coached and managed Bugsy as a player, alongside actually one of the other players who is hanging around right now. I think his focus is looking to be on Overwatch rather than Paladins.
QQ.
Who's Nightmare.
Yeah, Nightmare. He's actually been in that Discord, I do believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I started, and then I moved over from there to more of a casting focus, and I then casted for a year. I think it took me 3 or 4 months until I positioned with a broadcasting company, and became a registered and supported third-party broadcaster for ESL for their tournaments.
Nice. That's always good. See, I have a background in ESL, and of course, stuff like that. My background in esports, I've been everywhere. I've literally been everywhere. I mainly as a caster, I put on community casts and stuff like that, and review shows and vlogs and stuff like that. But that's really good, and it's good that you've brought that knowledge and expertise into Paladins, and that's what we need. It's really good.
Yeah. Then the idea was I moved over from Evolve over to Paladins, expecting to looking to cast.
Same.
And then,
Same.
and then suddenly, I was talking to Torpedo approached me asking about inside knowledge about the scene, about teams. I was talking to other teams at the same time about similar things.
Yeah.
Just giving my feedback on who I thought was good. And whilst those talks were going on, in the end they just said, "Hey, why don't you manage?"
Who was that? Was that Richard or was it Ads? Was that Ads? Was it who did that? Or?
Yes.
Actually,
that was Richard.
It was Richard. That was his subtle way of saying, "Right, we've got him. He ain't going anywhere. Ball and chain.
Richard,
get out of that one."
Said, I was on the Skype chat with them talking about who I thought was a good idea to pick up, and Richard just goes, "This guy seems to know his stuff. Why don't you contact them and you lead this team?"
See, I've heard lots of good things about Torpedo, and my dealings with Torpedo are nothing but pleasant, and I'm really looking forward to what Torpedo have to offer the Paladin scene. They've got a CSGO team, they've got a Smite team that's doing amazing. I've seen some of the pics on CSGO and stuff, and they're doing tremendous. And now that they're into Paladins, that's what I'm hoping for. I want right now, like I said, 100% win ratio in tournament play. You are unbeaten. Okay, that makes you the top dog in Europe. Okay, that's something I like. There is a top dog. We know you're like the fanatic of CSGO, but in Paladins, and to me that's our number one spot. You've got a bullseye on your back. Who do you class as your number one rivals right now?
I mean, it's got to be 404.
It's got to be 404.
I mean, as far as
am I feeling some mutual respect for the boys?
As far as rivalries go, it's got to be 404. I mean, we actually think that as far as the ranking goes, we actually think pub stars are
they're over in Noskov. Like, if they were to apply their effort into Paladins, who knows? They could knock you off your spot.
We totally think they are. I mean, they're one of the only teams that have taken games off of us. In fact, they're the only team that has taken more than one game off of us in scrims. And they were the first team to take games off of us in scrims as far as EU goes.
You haven't lost it. Even in all the teams in NA that you've scrimmed, you haven't lost it, have you?
In fact, as far as the actual team as Torpedo, we've not lost any games to NA. The team beforehand, looking for group, had lost a few games to NA.
Yeah. But as Torpedo, there's nothing valuable on NA.
But majorly, we've not started scrimming NA as much. We play every now and then. We've played Hordmouse 1, and a few of the other NA teams, but in general we're focusing on EU right now we don't have to focus on NA until we qualify, right? That's our focus right now. But pub stars we reckon could be even a better team than us, if they really tried and applied themselves.
If they're making money elsewhere, though, I mean, Paladins is alpha, closed beta. There's no money involved right now. They've got no reason to come back, have they? So.
And I mean, 404 as far as the actual as far as plotline and rivalries go. That's our rival right now. And I mean, it's always fun to see what's going on in 404's world, you know.
Well, I mean, Undead Pilot, he's chose to make his own team. He's left. Chorus got a job, didn't he? And he's left. So I do believe 404 are now a man down. I mean,
I think they are. I think they're technically 3 of them right now, rather than 4, unless they've.
Oh no, make no mistake about it. 404 are going to be back up on their feet, and you know, I dare say we'll see them picking up some well-known names. I mean, maybe picking up Elven Path. Who knows? Maybe, you know, hints. Ixoid is still looking for a team, but
I mean, it's such a weird situation to watch players sort of disappear from that team. You know.
Yeah. It's frustrating for me, for someone who wants the competitive scene to shine, to be there. Something that I've got weekly content to provide for my viewers, weekly content I can bring out to the competitive scene, all the dramas and the so-called roster changes and all that sort of stuff. But when you've got an established team like 404 and like all of a sudden some of their members disappear, you think, okay. Are we seeing a breakdown? Are we seeing a breakdown in communication between them and a manager or something like that? Or you know, it's all hearsay, but
it's intriguing for me because, you know, as far as Torpedoes, like everyone is pretty happy. As far as I know, I hope.
The slight problem though with that is you could get too complacent.
Yeah.
You know, you need to ruffle the feathers of your players every now and then. Say, right, come on. Act up. Let's go.
I mean, the players are happy. They've got their contracts, so they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
I do believe Fate and Torpedo are the only 2 official organisations in the EU scene. Is that correct? I might be wrong on this one. I do believe so, because my team's under contracts. Torpedo is. I don't think for. I asked Mitch the other day when we was doing Real Talk, last week, in fact. They're not actually an organisation. They're just a team, bunch of lads that are saying, right, this is what we want to produce, and we're going to go with a team sort of mentality sort of thing, which is all good. And of course, High-Res's rules saying that we're not allowed more than one team as an organisation. QQ, I'm crying. but going back to what you were saying about 404 and their roster, obviously picked up Skill Gannon. Oh my god, I said his name right. I'm actually quite happy, ladies and gents. I said his name right. It's never going to happen again. Honestly, like I said to you, it took me a whole day of saying your name. Otherwise, I wasn't going to get it. And no, they picked up Skill. He's a great addition to the roster. The first person I do believe they dropped was Drio, wasn't it?
Yep, they dropped Drio from the roster. As far as things it goes, I think it was Drio was dropped from the roster. Camarino moved because he had a job.
Well-paying job.
Offer came up.
Yeah.
And Undead Pilot left because he was not happy with the team.
Yeah.
He didn't like some of the players on the roster.
Which is fine, you know, you've got to have that sort of synergy. I mean, I'm lucky. I found Fate, like, in the early stages, like 06 or 07 patch, or whatever, when we first started, and we've been together. We've only ever dropped one person out as Fatsaw. It was just too difficult with communications and other sort of things, and you know, we're still friends with him, and you know, it's still good. And of course, we picked up Menschmeyer, who has been a great addition to the team, and everybody gets on. I mean, I dropped from the roster because, you know, I own the organisation, and I was like, you know what, I can bring in some more talented individuals. We've got several subs, like Unbelievable, Frosty. Unbelievable's now taking more of a role because these guys were really low-level players. But when you should know this from you scout players, you know, okay, this guy's got some potential. This is somebody we can use, and then you sort of like take him under your wing, and then you see him develop into this gamer. And like Unbelievable went from someone who was always out of position, didn't know what cards to build, but had that sort of spark to win, you know, that flair you look for in a player as a organization owner. Ads yourself, you should know this. It's a matter of you see that person, you think, yeah, he's gonna go somewhere. Let's see what we can do with it.
I mean, that's effectively what my job was to start with, was to
scout out players. Yeah,
find the players who weren't just good this patch because it's just they were they were on a good patch or anything.
It's a matter of looking for a player that can adapt to a situation and still hit his shots, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's why this patch especially is the first major change in meta that we're seeing.
It's a big shift.
And what we're actually picking, as far as characters go, might actually shift now. Of course, in the last patch it was, oh, I'm a Cassie player, rather than just, oh, I'm a ranged focused carry player, or I'm a buck player, rather than, oh, I'm a tank player. And I mean, this is where this patch, it kind of, in the back of my mind, kind of slightly worries me, because whilst I'm certain I made the right choice, you know, with the team that we have, and I'm certain they can adapt and everything. It's like this is the first time I'm watching them adapt to things.
It's all new. It's all fresh, isn't it? Yeah. And it's always that learning curve. How quickly can they pick it up and stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of sat there like, in the back of my mind, thinking this is the moment where I find out if the decision I made was really making the decision that they are the best team that I could get, or were they were just the best that patch.
Right then, let's move on, because obviously time is an issue. We've got to try and keep this under an hour. It's been what, 30 minutes plus. Right, I want to actually highlight Torpedo players, all right? And right now it just seems like everybody talks about Torpedo, 404. They don't talk about the players. And it's something I learned about today, and I was like, people just talk about 404, and they talk about Torpedo, and they talk about Fate, but they don't talk about the actual individual players. Now, Torpedo has some of the best players in the world. If not some, they are the best players in the world. And we can say that right now. And let's face it, you do. You have Feel on the Cassie, right?
I think that's where things get muddy, because I like to focus a lot on, rather than say we have the best players in the world, we have the best team in the world, or something like that, because I like to look at everyone working together as a team. But you're right, we have some phenomenal players, and on their own they are extraordinary players and people.
Yeah, but let's just go from there. I mean, your players, right? You can put Phil in a team with complete new people, and he can carry a four-man team. Spunky can do that. I've seen Spunky do that. Okay, I've seen in the last patch Spunky going in against all these unknown players, against a well-known some individuals like Elven Path and stuff, and lead his team to victory. He knew where to be, how to back up team, look for individuals that could show promise, help them out in team fights, and win sieges. And you know, that's the sort of talent that goes somewhere. So I just want to take this time to acknowledge, if you will, your team. You've got Spunky, one of the best buck players in the entire world. Fail. God damn it. Fail. I am so sorry, dude, if I've butchered your name. I really am so sorry. Probably the best Cassie player in the world. Yeah.
His accuracies.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Unreal.
There is some amazing players out there. I'm lucky enough to have one of the best Cassie players on the planet. I really am. Under Call. He's phenomenal. He's right up there with Fail. Those two, it's a pleasure to watch when those two 1v1 each other. They beat each other so many times. Honestly, it goes either way. Nobody knows.
Cassie 1v1s are great to watch.
It's really good, isn't it? It's all about timings, hitting, and accuracy. And Call versus Fail, honestly, it's you'd have to be there to see the sort of type of players. Like, you go into a matchmaking and you see it and you think, one of them's going to win, but you go into a competitive play and you watch it happening in front of you. It's different. It's like they're at a different level.
Even half the time when you see a Cassie 1v1 happen, half the time neither Cassie will actually die. Both of them in the end will roll out and be like, oof, gotta catch my breath for a moment.
Yeah. So I just want to go back to a point here that I remember watching Cool versus Fail, and I believe it was one of our scrims, and we was on the Canyon siege point in Temple Ruins, and they're 1v1, nobody got involved with it. They're 1v1, they were on high ground trying to take positioning. Their positioning was incredible. it went. I literally think it was like a 7 or 8 minute fight. They could probably tell you better than myself. And I don't know who won. I know Fate won the point, but in the 1v1, I'm not sure what happened. And then you defended the actual siege at level 1, and we were like, really? We went over a 15-minute fight for that. But it's one of the best things to see 2 top-level players fight off against each other like that. It's really phenomenal. And then, of course, you have Lazy. Now, Lazy has quite a good champion pool, doesn't he?
I think so. I've only really seen him play Pip.
Lazy's Pip's probably. I mean, I always state that Fresh Chemo is one of the best Pip players I've ever seen on the planet.
Yeah.
But I've seen more of him than I have Lazy. But I know from first-hand experience, Lazy's accuracy in Pip, without gravitation, in the old patch, was pinpoint accuracy. He was very, very good at it.
I mean,
his positioning in as well.
Yeah, I feel like his positioning is where he shines over other Pips. It's very easy to play aggressively, especially in pub games. It's very easy to play very aggressively on Pip.
Yeah,
and to do well and easy with it, because you won't get punished, you won't get caught out. In competitive, you do something like that though, and there's a buck wall right there, and you're dead.
Yeah, because he one thing I do know about Lazy is that he could make any build work.
Yeah, and
this is not playing Pip. I'm terrible. He's my worst champion. I can't do it. And like going into a matchmaking, I'll be very good on Pip, but going into a competitive play tournament match or something like that, and you go up against somebody like Fresh or Lazy, their ability, in fact, I don't know any 2 Pip players that are any better than them. I don't. Fresh Chemo and Lazy have to be the 2 best players. And bearing in mind though, sorry to cut you off, Lazy is the shot caller for Torpedo.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's extraordinary as well, because he also makes all of the he's practically the backbone of the communication for the team. He makes all of the calls. He makes the calls. The team feed him all the information he needs, and from there he makes calls on what we're going to do. Of course, we have set plays, like a set playbook that is set out very strictly by Durfall. It's almost drilled into them.
Yeah, it's like honestly, he's like a drill sergeant, isn't he? He really is.
Crazy. He'll ask they'll come to a situation and they'll be like, okay, this and this have happened or are happening. This is what we do, and like that's just learnt into them by now. As far as strategy goes, but he's the one who makes those calls, makes those decisions, and alongside being able to play Pip very well, it's extraordinary to watch.
Okay, so we've gone through Spunky. We've
got Spunky, Theo, and Lazy as well.
So let's talk about the Princess.
Yeah, Princess. He often goes. I'd say he's one of the ones who often goes a lot more unnoticed in the team.
And I don't think that's fair. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he plays Grok, doesn't he?
Oh no, he plays Barrack.
He's your Barrack? Oh, how can I even say that? I lost to him the other day. Yeah, Princess, I do apologise. Now, he has one of the most aggressive barracks I've ever seen. He's not somebody that sits behind his turret and barricade, though.
I actually, that's where I feel like I disagree. The reason I feel like he doesn't get as much as the spotlight as some of the other barrack players, of course, Bugsy is so well known, and like hyped up around the scene for his barrack. I think is because he takes a lot more of a, I wouldn't say a backseat approach to barrack, but he plays a lot more of a supportive role with barrack.
Really?
Yeah.
It must be every time I play him then, because he comes in and stomps on me. Goes, hi Jay. Right. We played a game where Princess and Spunky would only come after me, and this went on for 15 minutes, right?
Oh, if this is in pubs, then
yeah,
they're going to go aggressive.
Yeah, and this wasn't a pub. This was just in a matchmaking, right? So it was me, Arcos, and Cool, with 3-man matchmaking, so no one else was on, and we came up against Princess and Spunky, and I had 29 deaths, 2 kills, I went 29-2, and I managed to kill Spunky once. Princess absolutely shat on me. I'm not even talking.
Yeah.
Like, I would be
Oh.
coming in to maneuver myself in for a pre-take on the siege, and all of a sudden it's peekaboo. Hi Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I
dead.
mean, he's definitely able to play that aggressive barrack style, and he has the skill and the ability. But with the way we have our strategy set out, or we had our strategy set out last patch, he wasn't in the spotlight as much, I feel, because of how we had him playing to suit the team, to benefit the team the most. Of course, Bugsy is so well known. He actually, our barrack doesn't actually take in flame last patch in general.
No.
Didn't
he run double time or?
We'd run double time for the use of turrets and defensive capabilities.
Yeah.
And that puts you in a lot more of a defensive playing.
Well, yeah, you have that
from the
22-second
sidelines
cooldown rather than 8 seconds. So it's a big difference, isn't it? So
and I mean, you see, Bugsy is such a big part of 404 with his barrack because he plays that very aggressive style in flame barrack. And this has all changed, of course, with this patch. We're not sure where it is right now, but with Princess for the last patch, in the last meta, we had him playing a lot more of this defensive style, which is why he doesn't take as much limelight as someone like Bugsy did with his barrack play, but he's still extraordinarily good at what he does.
Absolutely.
I mean, not everyone can not everyone can be in the spotlight. And I mean that kind of sucks in a way.
Yeah, it does. I mean, right now you've got some Elvin Park's making a name for himself, and he's actually without a team, and he's more of a streamer now, and he's like a personality on the scene, and that's really good. Yeah. But I feel like someone like Elvin Park has to be in a team. He's too good not to be in a team, and right now there just isn't many teams that are actually looking for players because some of them are saying, right, because of the patch, we're going to go play other things and stuff like that rather than sticking with it. Right, so we've gone through Spunky, Lazy, Fail, and now the Princess. And last but not least,
of course, we've got K3, or as he's better known in game, of course, because you have to have at least more than 2 characters in your name. Sadly, Custom 3.
Yeah.
And Custom is our. I mean, I remember the first time I started working with Custom. And talking with him, he was the one who went over their team's contracts. He's that very wise sort of.
He's got the mentality of a business mind, but he's also very focused in his gameplay.
Yeah, and I mean, I go to him a lot for advice right now, because I'm new to this management stuff. I'm still learning as I go, and he helps me out. He helps me out a lot with how I should be doing things, and I feel like he's a great help to the team, as well as
what's his main role?
He plays Grok in the team.
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't play as aggressive as a Grok as other Groks in the scene.
No, but his timing's the best in the world. I'm gonna say it here.
Yeah.
His timing with Grok is the best Grok play I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We've got some phenomenal Groks on my team. We've got some amazing Grok players. Smirk, for example, one of the best players in the world. He's Grok plays amazing, but it still doesn't shine compared to K3. Custom has this way of knowing. Now, I don't know if this is just down to synergy and team calls or something, but he knows exactly when things are going to proc. It's like a machine. It's a well-oiled machine, and it's great to watch. Painful to be against, but great to watch.
It's a lot down to the communication he has with the team, but also, again, that comes a lot down to, of course, the last core part of the team who we mentioned a lot earlier, but doesn't get as much limelight when it comes to teams. The team doing well is Zerful, and in the last patch, I think it's something we're loosening up on this patch, especially because we want Grok to be a lot more of a fluid player, a lot more of an aggressive player, but we had custom playing very defensive, and we almost had the totem placement down to like a very obvious time schedule, and we knew exactly where it was to be placed every time as well.
Yeah.
Almost something that was just sort of taught into them. It's this scenario. This is when you drop the totem.
Yeah.
I
as a whole,
he does it very well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He just knows
exactly
where,
when to
when,
drop
and
it.
how, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I think that pretty much covers your team.
Yeah.
How, when, why, and how. You know, these guys,
Yeah.
they sync, and that's one of the crucial parts of team play.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we spend a lot of time looking at it strategy-wise. It's not as much thinking on the go as it would be if we didn't, but it's still a lot of thinking as they go. It's deciding which scenario we planned out they should go for in that certain instance.
Yeah.
And I think that's always what is going to keep us relevant as well.
Yeah. But yeah, because you discuss, you're on the same sort of level, and if someone's not quite up to scratch, you bring them up to scratch.
Yeah,
I think that's brilliant.
It's not the individual play that we shine on. It's our team play. It's our team communication, and our team decision making.
Yeah.
Which is always what I want it to be. If you have your team shining on individual play, it's not as good as if you're great as a team, because what happens when someone new comes into the scene who's better, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's always going to happen at some point.
But in saying that,
always does
right now
happen.
we've been in closed beta for 2.5 months. There's nobody been better coming into the scene. Because
I mean,
right now,
but once it opens up, you've got all the...
I reckon that we're going to see an influx of players in open beta, and we're going to see a different type of game by then.
Yeah.
But anyway, right, I do believe that's all the time we've got, because it's gone on for nearly an hour, and we're likely to get yelled at. So, obviously, TatlTael, thank you ever so much for coming on the show, and by all means, please advertise away. Where can we find Torpedo? Where can we find yourself? And of course, all the players over at Torpedo Gaming.
So you can find most of the players on Twitter. They use it every now and then. They all go with the TPG tag, so at TPG underscore and then their name. You can find myself at TPG TatlTael. For the rest of the team on Twitter, you can find that at Torpedo GG, as well as the site right now, which is currently down whilst we work on a new site.
I'm looking forward to that. I am.
The up and coming store, hopefully.
I'm getting myself a Torpedo shirt. Just saying, when it comes out.
There's going to be. I've seen what's coming as far as.
Please tell me the shirts are actually going to be there.
There's a lot.
Our shirt's going to be there. Come on, Tat. Come on, you can tell me.
Oh.
This isn't going out to several hundred people or anything.
You're going to be able to easily just wear yourself Torpedo from head to toe.
Like it. I like it a lot. And of course,
so
that'll be on the website, of course. Yes.
Yeah, that'll be coming when the website comes, hopefully. But that's.
Do we have an ETA on that, or?
Not yet.
Ah, right. Okay. And of course, by all means, not last, you can check them out at Torpedo HQ on Twitch. Is that not correct?
Yep, that's also where we have our Twitch.
I follow the CS:GO guys. Just saying.
And lastly, of course, our sponsors.
Yep.
Who help us out a lot, of course, when we've got the qualifiers. The plan is, of course, hopefully to look to boot camp with our sponsor QPad, who help us out. They give us their access to their boot camp facilities. Of course, we've got the other sponsors who help us out a lot: G Fuel, DRKN, and CS:GO Big, of course.
Now, CS:GO Big is for your CS:GO side of boys, and that is a betting site, is it not?
Yes, it's like a
It's the same like CS:GO Lounge and stuff like that.
No,
it's not a jackpot site, is it?
No, it's a jackpot site rather than
right.
a
Okay,
betting
yeah.
site.
Right then, awesome. I don't think there's anything else to say other than thank you ever so much for coming on to Real Talk. It's been a pleasure having you. And of course, all those links will be in the description section below, guys. Please leave any questions on whatnot of anything we've said today. Yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from TatlTael. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.